Hello, welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all of the masterpieces and trashpieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And, although it's been a long time since we discussed the first two, we are continuing our journey through the Hellraiser franchise. Lucky us.
Yeah. Great.
So usually when we do franchises, we do through the years episodes where we'll discuss everything all at once. Do you really think we are going to fucking sit through all these films at once? Give me a break.
No. I mean, Halloween was a slog in itself, wasn't it? Fucking hell. This is even worse.
So... we love you guys. We love everyone who listens to us. And we're glad you enjoy us trashing films. But we'll take some time between these episodes.
This is the kind of film, but both of them are the kind of films I don't mind trashing.
Yeah.
Because they should have known better.
They really should have.
You know, there's no excuses really for it. So this is the kind of one I really do enjoy trashing.
Well, if you would like to listen to us discussing the only two good films in this franchise, head back to episode 125, where we discussed the first two for Pride Month with Jack from Passage del Terra. But to give you a brief history, Hellraiser is obviously based off of the Hellbound Heart, the Clive Barker novella. And the first film was directed by Clive Barker because he saw how much of a disaster Rawhead Rex was when someone else directed his work. So he did it himself, and, it's a horror masterpiece. The sequel is arguably pretty much just as good as the first film. It's one of the best horror sequels of all time.
It's a good one. It stuck to the formula, did something a little different.
Yeah.
And was better for it.
It's a great concept. The whole Hellraiser concept is a great concept that is more chilling in the fact that these are just demons that have been unleashed because they're like a kinky old time, but with a bit of death as well. And obviously, Kirsty gets caught up in that in the first film. We go through hell in the second film, and it is great. It makes both of those films make the most of the batshit crazy concept.
Yes, it does.
They're super gay, as they need to be. We're dealing with a lot of leather and bondage and S&M and whatever. The whole thing's just a crazy old 80s time. But then we hit the 90s. And that brings us to our first film, Hellraiser III, Hell on Earth, from 1992. Directed by Anthony Hickox, who we previously discussed at the start of this year with Full Eclipse. He's also done Waxwork 1 and 2, Prince Valiant, Stormcatcher, Jail Ribs, Last Run, etc., etc. This was made on a budget of $5 million, and it made $12.5 million worldwide.
Okay, that's not great, but they have doubled their money.
They have,
so
yeah.
Hence part 4.
History with this film? Any?
No.
No.
I didn't watch it until I met you.
I have. I saw most of this film before I watched the first film because, as you may recall from our Elvira episode and probably many other episodes, I used to be obsessed with the Horror Channel, and this was always being advertised on there. But it never seemed to actually show on there. I could never find when it was on. So I watched it on YouTube originally, and it didn't have the full film, so I saw as far as the church scene, and that was it. But I thought this was the shit back in the day when I was younger.
What time to cut off?
I know, yeah.
Cut off there.
But I thought this was great back then. First Hellraiser film I saw, I didn't know any different. Pinhead was great and whatever.
Lord.
When I showed you, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is the other good Hellraiser sequel, like a few years back. Watching it, I kind of want to just bury my face in my hands. But fuck me. I enjoyed some shit when I was younger. And it's not awful, it's not abysmal.
It's not, no.
It's not good.
It's not great.
Well, it's not even good.
You wouldn't really, it's one of those things, you wouldn't really choose to watch it unless you were marathoning all the films.
But that's how it goes from this point on.
Completionist thing.
Yeah.
I do actually, just to cut you off, I do have a very, very slight history with the film. Back in the day, like I'm sure many people were, horror fans were, I was avid follower of Arrow in the Head.
Mm-hmm.
So I read all of his reviews, and I distinctly remember Hellraiser 3. He mentioned the CD kill.
Yeah.
So in my head, I think, if I remember correctly, I think he praised it, or it's stuck in my mind, and I thought, oh, it's gonna be well cool. And then you actually watch it. No, not quite.
Well, it's the coolest scene in the film. The bar isn't set very high elsewhere.
It's very 1992.
It is.
But we'll get to that.
So getting into the trivia, the biggest issue was the Black Mass scene, which caused controversy in socially conservative North Carolina. Anthony Hickox had been refused permission to shoot in a real church, so he used a matte painting as a background to the altar. When the crew complained of sacrilege, Hickox told them that it was no different than the countless Hammer horror films in which Christopher Lee as Dracula rampaged in churches. He's not wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, this takes it a little further, but it's not wrong. The initial one-sheet artwork featured a side shot of Pinhead's screaming face. The MPAA said the artwork was too intense and asked that Pinhead be removed from the poster campaign. Miramax instead decided to use a composite photo of Pinhead from the original Hellraiser one-sheet and successfully argued that it was suitable as it had already been used in the past. The MPAA relented and allowed this new poster art to be used. Yeah, it's so lazy. Like, there's so many other things you could have done. This is literally the same as the first film's poster, but with a different background.
Yeah.
It's just New York in the background. Doug Bradley said although he enjoyed the production and working with Anthony Hickox, he experienced discomfort in some of his scenes. Early on, he agreed to act from within the uncomfortable pillar of Souls prop, where Pinhead is trapped. This limited Bradley's acting to just his face and voice. Bradley also said that the makeup from Hellraiser 3 was his least favourite. They changed Pinhead's makeup to make it faster to apply and remove, but this had the side effect of making it more uncomfortable to wear. However, Bradley was able to find an optician who allowed him to wear a prescription version of the black lenses, allowing him to stay in character for much longer periods. Yeah, I can imagine this is a fucking pain to sit through the makeup for Pinhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which makes me question why he came back for all the shitty sequels. Like, in some of them, he is literally in it for no more than 1 minute, and he's in full makeup and everything. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing with your life?
They probably paid him a lot of money.
For the straight-to-video ones? Is there a lot of money to be paid?
Well, I mean...
I suppose not getting much work elsewhere, is it?
Well, you said it.
Tony Randall was attached to direct, but the producers removed him after they became worried that his vision for the film was too bleak. Anthony Hickox replaced him after a mutual friend who he worked with on Waxwork 2 Lost in Time suggested him. Clive Barker, who disliked Hickox's prior work, believed him a poor fit for the Hellraiser series, as Hickox was known for horror comedy films. When he met with him, Barker stressed that he expected him to take the material seriously. Hickox, a fan of the series, agreed and used the first 2 films as a guide for the proper tone.
Did he?
Are you fucking kidding me? There's absolutely no way this film isn't... Wait, so was he being serious with all the comedic moments then? Was that him trying to be serious?
What comedic moments?
Ladies first.
Oh, yeah.
Or the one-liner. Where he's basically turned Pinhead into Freddy Krueger.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Peter Jackson was... also, if the other director had a really bleak vision, well, yeah, give him the fucking film. It's Hellraiser.
Yeah, I suppose there's a different audience by that point, really. I think maybe they were looking to replace Freddy Krueger after Freddy's dead.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were looking for.
Peter Jackson was asked to direct, but declined because he couldn't see himself directing such a serious film. He liked the final product, but added that if I made a Hellraiser film, I'd like Pinhead to be whacked against the wall and have all the pins flatten into his face. I immediately start thinking of funny things and gags. That's just the way I am.
Just the way he is.
During the sex scene between Amy Lee and Kevin Bernhardt, Lee protested having to appear topless. So this was resolved by having Bernhardt place his hands on her breasts to cover her nipples.
Now, you say place. It looks a little painful.
It does. It
looks like he's proper grabbing them.
It's a very Hellraiser sex scene.
It is.
And they got that right, you know.
Yeah, sweaty.
Yeah.
One thing about Hellraiser films, and all of them that I've seen so far, they're very sweaty films. They always look like it's really warm on set.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get it that way, but do you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
certain films are sweaty films.
Yeah, it's a
Hellraiser's
recurring thing.
Definitely one of them.
Transatlantic gave Anthony Hitchcock 6 weeks to shoot the film. He had previously established a very fast shooting schedule that used long hours, which meant the cast had to adjust to his unorthodox style and the studio's demands. Doug Bradley said that he worked for 17 hours straight one day, and the large number of scenes shot daily meant that he had little time to perfect them. Which is shocking, because he's the only good actor in this film.
Yeah.
Hitchcock's preference for in-camera editing sped up production, but limited the actor's view of the complete film. Unlike the previous Hellraiser films, the stages used were all very close to each other and shared a single soundstage, which made shooting simultaneously with multiple crews difficult.
Okay.
Another piece to the puzzle.
There we are.
Former New World exec Lawrence Kupin picked up the rights to the series and quickly formed Transatlantic Entertainment with the purpose of producing sequels to several New World Pictures films. The initial lineup included Hellraiser III, Children of the Corn 2, Wanted Dead or Alive 2, Angel 4 Undercover, and Crimes of Passion 2.
Oh.
But only the sequels to Hellraiser, Children of the Corn and Angel eventuated, which is very sad. I would love to see a sequel to Crimes of Passion.
Yes. Angel 4, as in the is it Schoolgirl by Day, Prostitute by Night?
I believe so.
Series of films.
The descendant of First World War veterans Doug Bradley was deeply affected by the scenes of the soldiers fighting in the trenches. He would later comment that when witnessing the extra-stressed British and German soldiers huddling around fires to keep warm in the early dawn, at dawnlight, it ceased to be a film for him. It simply seemed so real. Dude, don't put yourself through this for Hellraiser 3. Come on. Jesus.
Okay.
I mean, it makes for some horrific imagery in the scene that it is used, but come on, guys. Did you need this in there? Did you really?
Who knows?
Is it worth... Doesn't it have to put up with enough that he has to sit in that makeup all fucking day? Jeez, poor Doug Bradley. This episode is dedicated to Doug Bradley. Sympathy for Doug Bradley.
Yeah.
Man needs a paycheck and he goes to some extreme lengths for it.
Well, there we go, I suppose. That's acting for you.
Yeah. So getting into the film, an investigative reporter must send the newly unbound Pinhead and his legions back to hell.
Oh.
We get the usual black background, white text, opening credits with the iconic score for the last time, sadly.
Yeah, that is true. They try and redo it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
J.P. Monroe, the womanizing owner of a popular nightclub called the Boiler Room, get it? Freddy Krueger, Boiler Room, steps out of his fancy car in his fancy shoes and goes to a sketchy looking shop.
Yeah, you can see how the hunky guy in the film is a lot different now.
Yeah.
Compared to Uncle Frank in the first film, he was very rough and ready. JP he's got his fancy shirt on, and yeah,
slimy in a different way.
Well, yeah, it very much a yuppie, I think you would call it. I know this is 1992, but it very much feels like an 80s film at times. Quite dated by that point.
Honestly, I thought he was Zach Galligan for the longest time.
I thought he was as well, yeah. But it's very much the 80s yuppie stereotype of money equals womanizer.
Yes.
But he's a handsome fella, bless him.
The revelation of his own former humanity in Hellraiser 2 causes Pinhead, a demon called a Cenobite, to be split into two entities: his former self, World War I British Army Captain Elliot Spencer, and a manifestation of Spencer's id which takes on the form of Pinhead. While Spencer ends up in limbo, Pinhead is trapped along with the puzzle box among the riffing figures and distorted faces etched into the surface of an ugly-ass fucking pillar.
Yeah.
The Pillar of Souls, it's
Looks
called.
nothing like it did in part 2.
No, this is a completely different thing. And it really shocks me when they have a flashback to part 2. It's like, guys, come on. You've got to try and hide the fact that this is not the same pillar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and JP buys it.
He does from some random Charles Manson
It's
lookalike.
very Hellraiser's idea of a homeless person guy.
Yeah, but he just walks into the art gallery. There's art everywhere,
Yeah.
and he buys it. Yeah, and that's it. You never see the guy who sold it to him again.
No.
He pays whatever he thinks is worth.
Yes.
So, $10.50. And it's his. He owns it.
Yeah. An ambitious young television reporter, Joanne Joey Summerskill, who we find out is very bored. No story, no life, just very pissed off.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, bless her. She's... It's confusing because she has a really nice apartment with a beautiful view, but by all accounts she's a struggling reporter who might lose her job unless she finds a really juicy story.
Yes.
So who knows, but she isn't finding it at the hospital to begin with.
No, she sees hooked well, before this, cameraman Hulk Hogan, Doc, tells her the story of her life would be right round the corner. I shit you not. The story of her life is literally right round the corner. That's how fucking stupid the writing in this film is.
Right round the corner.
Anything to say about a cameraman and his wonderful acting skills?
Well, he struggles, bless him. He hasn't got much to do, though, to be fair.
But he does have that moustache.
He was giving me Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
And he was also giving me that guy who's in everything, and I can't remember his name. Is it Clancy Brown?
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown. Was
Not Hulk Hogan.
He was giving me a little bit of Hulk Hogan. A little bit of Hulk Hogan. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's psychic as well. He told her the story of her life around the corner, and it was so she sees hooked chains.
But he's already gone by that point.
Yeah.
Before it comes round.
Yeah, she sees hooked chains embedded in a teenage clubgoer in a hospital emergency room. They come to life and tear the clubgoer to pieces.
They do.
Thankfully, we still have a budget, so the special effects still look great by this point.
Yeah, it's definitely given me, the end of the Fury.
Yeah.
Where John Cassavetes explodes.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it was definitely giving me that kind of explosion. Yeah. Attention grabbing opening.
Uh-huh.
It starts off well, actually. This
Yeah.
film does start off well. It's interesting. Then she gets the bus home and doesn't seem particularly phased by it.
No.
I just feel I understand it's a film. But if I was to have seen someone explode in front of me, I would have been like, do you know what, Chris? Treat yourself to a taxi home. It's not very nice what you've been through. Don't get the bus home. Don't extend it. Just get a taxi home. Raid the fridge, run a bath. But she doesn't seem particularly phased by it all. And she really isn't, because she is more interested in the juicy story.
Yeah.
She goes to see a producer, don't she?
Yeah.
And they're rewatching one of her tapes of her doing an interview, and he isn't impressed by the way she crosses her legs, because she needs to show a bit more skin.
It was Basic Instinct out by this point.
Well, it was same year. But yeah, he's not impressed. Sex sells. So by all accounts, she's struggling as a reporter. She sticks by her morals, though. What does she say?
What does she say?
Tight stories, not tight skirts.
Get that on the business card.
And she's got really juicy story that she's gonna, no one seems two-faced by this guy exploding.
No
This guy
gives a shit.
exploded. Like, the police don't even get involved, do they?
And the worst part is, I don't think that's
Really?
even a style choice. I think it's just genuinely bad writing and directing. I mean, we know what happens later on during explosions on the street.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no one seems faced with this guy exploding in front of them. Like, it's an everyday... I know it's set in New York, and they're a bit, you know, unfazed by a lot of things. This dude exploded. Come on now.
In an extended scene, which you can see on the Arrow video release, we get Joey going to the boiler room, and we quickly realise the boiler room is a gay bar.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's absolutely a gay bar, Chris. A gay bar for the gays that are into hair metal Batman. Because it's... Okay, what does the doorman say to her?
Doorman says, sweetheart, you're not too young, you're too straight. Not gay and straight, like straight, because she's dressed in a, like, fucking pencil. She's serving executive realness.
Yes, and everyone else is in kinky gear.
Yeah, of course. What he did say is the screenwriter watched...
Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Okay, wow. Wow, Gary. Let's talk body double.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously...
If we're going to talk kinky nightclub scenes, it's got to be body double. Thank you very much. And Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It shows difference in taste on this podcast, doesn't it?
Well, I don't see Frankie goes to Hollywood performing in this bar.
Because they couldn't afford it.
I mean, we do get a hair metal band performing now.
We do. Yeah. This, every time because I might as well say it now. This boiler room is meant to be the hippest, coolest place in town. Everyone's dying to get in. This, that, and the other. And the only music they play, and the only bands that perform, are hair metal bands.
Yeah.
Which by 1992 were really out of style.
Yeah.
Like 1992 was the year Wayne's World came out and pretty much parodied hair metal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's clearly not the coolest, hippest place.
No.
And lots of the patrons look like they're dressed either like in kinky stuff or like they're dressed like the B-52s.
It's true.
Which I love. But it's quite jarring, isn't it? It's like, well, which one you choose?
There's some weird art throughout the place. Specifically, it keeps focusing on this baby this baby doll in barbed wire and a blindfold.
Oh,
to look edgy. Very Clive Barker. Yeah, there are go-go dancers as well. It's a very weird place.
In the extended version, there's a topless woman.
There is,
yeah.
There? So she confronts JP looking for Terry, who was at the hospital with the guy who exploded. And he tries chatting her up a bit. She's like, I don't become your type, you see. I'm out of grade school. I'm like, okay, this queen means business. She doesn't care about people exploding. She wants her fucking story. She wants to pay those bills and get a slightly more fancier apartment, probably. But I mean, she's already got quite a lot as it is.
Yeah, it's
career
really
goals,
fancy.
come on.
I'm really high up with a great view of New York.
Yeah, I don't know what else she wants, but
now that would set you back like millions.
Yeah. But, you know, she just wants to get a job done. She wants to be good at a job. Joey has recurring nightmares about how she presumes her father died in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's a big theme of the film is her relationship with her father and her father having died in battle before she was born in Vietnam. Yeah, I don't really get the point of this.
We really could have done without this and it probably would have been a better film.
It kind of felt a bit forced to give her a bit of backstory and a bit of character. And it obviously relates to the story of Spencer in World War One and such, and the idea of war. But it feels shoehorned in.
It does.
To be fair.
It does.
So she finally meets Terry, don't she?
Yeah.
Properly. Terry is homeless, but doesn't seem homeless. I don't understand the story there.
She has a different outfit for every fucking scene.
Yeah.
And they get uglier as they go on, by the way. Also, worst actor in the film. Jesus.
She's a beautiful girl, but she's struggling.
Yeah, I mean, she's very glamorous. She's like Dolly Parton homeless, isn't she?
She's like
she's
the ex-girlfriend of JP, the most handsome, richest man in town. And yet apparently she's homeless.
Yeah.
But Terry explains that the chain sprang from the puzzle box, which she pried from the pillar. And then Terry gives the puzzle box to Joey.
Very dramatic shot.
Very dramatic. I thought, oh, was this meant to be Hellraiser 3D? You know, when they like shove it towards the camera. We learn something pointless. We learn about Terry as well. She doesn't dream. It's giving me awkward first date.
It is.
It really is. The way they're talking to each other, it's like you know that first date interview where you don't want to pry too much, and then one of them accidentally gives away too much about, you know, their dad in Vietnam, so then the other feels like they can share. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird energy they've got.
Or what makes me laugh is all the random shots of Terry where she's like looking into the distance or whatever, and she's meant to be emoting in some way or another, but because her acting's so bad, it just looks like random shots of her face where she's not doing anything.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
And also, again, going back to her outfits and the fact she's meant to be homeless, we've seen how the Hellraiser franchise portrays homeless people.
It's true.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really? You really expect us to believe that she's homeless? Whilst investigating the box's background, Joey invites Terry to stay with her. So literally she just meets this girl. She's like, yeah, move in with me, whatever.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. To investigate this box. JP gets bitten by a rat.
He does.
From inside the statue, and his blood makes the cool blue lightning effect happen.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, something happens with that pillar, and it's going to involve someone coming back to life, because we've seen
it's a
the
bit
other
like
films.
the mattress, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the second film. Oh, and the first film when the blood brings Frank back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Terry, a self-confessed kitchen virgin, cooks breakfast for Joey and makes an absolute fucking state of her kitchen.
And acts like it's not like, okay, you might not be a great cook, but if something's on fire, then you know you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Unless you know it's flambe.
I don't know why Joey's okay with this. Like, why is she not like, get the fuck out of here? What are you doing?
You literally stayed here one night and you've destroyed my kitchen.
She uncovers papers from Dr. Channard whilst breaking into the gallery where JP got the pillar. Now, you may remember Dr. Channard and his wonderful singing voice.
Yeah.
Would you care to do an impression?
No. You do one.
Oh!
There we go.
He was the bad guy in Hellraiser 2 who said random things and then made that noise after. But she finds the papers from him. Pinhead remains dormant until Monroe.
So they break into the art gallery. I'll
okay.
just go back a bit. It was a funny thing there. Joey thinks it's going to take ages to find the information they're looking for in all this paperwork. But Terry literally finds diagrams of the box in the first file she opens. Like, oh, look at all this. It's going to take us ages to find what we're looking for. Hey, look what I found. And that's it. Great. Terry, she might not be a great cook, but she can sniff out a document.
Apparently. Monroe has rough sex with Sarah Jessica Parker.
She's given Sarah Jessica... As very specific Sarah Jessica Parker when she had that kind of... in Sex and the City, that just above the shoulder hair.
Yeah.
When she goes on the train to the other side of the country.
Yes, Sandy. Sandy's in the club serving that look. Monroe invites upstairs, and this is when
she's far too impressed by a single rose.
Well, she is. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Bless her.
Yeah, they have awkward. Ow, my boobs. Stop squishing them. Sex. She keeps her boots on.
She does.
So, and this is how, because I get a few bits from Wikipedia. Well, Wikipedia described it as rough sex.
Yeah.
Afterward, hooked chains drag Sandy to the pillar.
Well, before
she's having a right go at him.
JP shines his shoes straight after sex.
Ew.
As if he couldn't be more of a fucking douche stereotype. And then tells Sandy to get out, so she's like, you shit, who do you think you are? And hook chains drag her in. So Pinhead can absorb her body, drags her skin off,
Yeah.
eats her.
Pinhead points out that they have both used Sandy for their own purposes.
Yes.
Like, okay, what are you trying to say?
I think that, they're trying to be deep there, I think.
I think they're trying to, because obviously him being a kind of yuppie stereotype.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to say something there about using and abusing people.
Yeah, and
But then give Pinhead funny one-liners.
yeah, so JP's like, Jesus Christ. And Pinhead, in his first line of dialogue in the film that isn't him screaming, was like, not quite. Yeah, Pinhead screams so much in this fucking film.
That's true. Although initially horrified, Monroe agrees to bring Pinhead more club members so he can feed on them and be freed.
Yeah, this whole sequence really contradicts the whole this isn't a comedy thing. Because, I mean, he shoots Pinhead and Pinhead, like, catches the bullets in his mouth and spits them out. Like, seriously?
In return, Pinhead promises Monroe power and a natural delight.
Yes.
So yeah, very much the formula for Hellraiser so far, Pinhead. Well, in the first film it was Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
In the second film it was...
For Julia.
And in this film it's for Pinhead himself.
Yeah.
Because they smelt a franchise and wanted to put Pinhead at the centre of that.
Because
in the first two films he's not really the main antagonist.
Well, he was never meant to be.
No.
If I remember right, I think the female Cenobite was meant to be the leader. And of course, Pinhead himself was a woman initially, which they're redoing in the remake.
But I mean, in terms of antagonists, the real antagonist in the first film is Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
In the second film, it's Channard and Julia.
Yeah.
With a little bit of Frank thrown in. And in this one, it's Hellraiser himself. Because, spoiler alert, Morgan doesn't even kill that many people. Like, Sandy is the only person he actually manages.
Morgan?
Well, his name's
Monroe.
Monroe. Why am I saying Morgan?
It's because it's been a year since we watched Killer Barbie's vs. Dracula with Senor Morgan.
No, it's not. Maybe it's Sonia Morgan.
You're absolutely right. And this is why they've got the franchise so wrong. It's why they've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre so wrong. First Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's Leatherface and his fucked up family. First Hellraiser film is Pinhead and the Cenobites. They bring those same Cenobites back for the sequel, but then this one, they make up all new ones, and the main focus isn't any other Cenobite, it's Pinhead. They turn him into a slasher villain, like they do with Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels. That's where they fall apart. Because it's never just this singular character. Yeah, he's a cool character. Yeah, he's a horror icon. That's great. But the other supporting characters are just as great. I mean, Chatterer's great. The female Cenobite's great. Butterball's great. The imagery of those three with Pinhead was what was intimidating in the first two. All four of them. It was creepy.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Pinhead was always a look queen.
Yeah.
But when it came to the acting challenges and the comedy challenges, it didn't hold up. But really, because the main point is that, like Leatherface, what was scary was the silence.
Yeah.
Was the look, not the quips. And that the thing is with Freddy Krueger, in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the scary part was he was very talkative.
Yeah.
Because he'd read you to filth and then kill you.
Yeah. But
that's not what Pinhead was about.
Well, he had a sense of humour.
Because he was never the main antagonist.
No.
It wasn't the point.
But he had a sense of humour in the first two, He did. There were, a few lines here and there, like where he, Kirsty's telling him about, she's back and whatever, and he's laughing at her. And there's that sort of sick, twisted sense of humour there, but it's not for comedic purposes. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are a few lines here and there in the first two where, he does talk, but he has such a presence, and Doug Bradley has that voice, where it's still intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course. But when it's too much
But when you get to part 3, and every other line is a fucking joke,
Yeah.
that's when it's not intimidating anymore. And he just looks really cool. But whenever he speaks, it just takes it out of it.
And then they humanise him with the whole Spencer character.
Yeah. Yeah. So, where were we?
So, and you shouldn't be humanising your horror,
No.
Villain.
No.
You doesn't need humanising.
Exactly. So Joey has uncovered a videotape from one of Pinhead's former victims, Kirsty Cotton, with Ashley Lawrence in an exclusive special appearance.
Really grainy.
Yeah, you could bet there could have been anyone in a wig. You didn't even need to be Ashley Lawrence. You can't even see her face. In the videotape, she explains the puzzle box is the only means of returning Pinhead to hell. So Pinhead, out of drag, appears on the video on his confessional and tells Joey that Kirsty's telling the truth.
Spencer.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she's telling the truth, Joey. And, oh, okay, cheers. Terry's reading a book on battles of the 20th century.
Highly inappropriate.
She's been told about these dreams at this point as well. Like, she knows.
Had. Oh, did your dad die in Vietnam? I'm just going to read this book in front of you. It's called Battles of the 20th Century. Wonder if any of the ones I'm reading about are the ones your dad died in. I'm like, how inappropriate.
She notices the puzzle box is looking less rusty and starts feeling it up before she's interrupted by a call from JP, telling her that he's a bad guy, he misses her, and he invites her over. She tells him she can't and puts the phone down. But there's another call straight after telling Joey that she got the job in Monterey and that she'll have to sell her condo. Terry is fuming and leaves Joey a note saying, enjoy Monterey, you liar, and leaves. Why? Please tell me.
No idea. Like, this whole Monterey thing is not, mentioned before or after.
No.
The whole premise of the film is that Joey is trying to make her name in reporting in New York. They don't even have a conversation about it. I have no idea where this is. It's so forced. It comes completely out of nowhere. Absolutely ridiculous.
It makes no sense. It's just an excuse to get her to the boiler room. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
She could have answered the call and be like, yeah, okay, I'm coming over. Just simple as that.
They really don't know each other well enough for this kind of reaction either. It's very strange.
I mean, Joey doesn't give a shit because she just goes back to bed.
Yeah.
She finds the note and goes to bed.
Yeah, it's weird because in a bit, JP and Terry are having a conversation and they're acting as if Terry and Joey were lovers.
Yeah.
So I question whether that was meant to have been written that way. But they were too scared to do a lesbian love scene. Because it definitely feels like they're written to be a relationship between them that isn't apparent in the film.
Yeah.
Because this is just someone that, come live with me and we can try and solve this mystery. But if there had been a sexual relationship between the two, it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
So maybe they just... It had been written that way, but they just didn't go with that in the end.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. JP attempts to feed Terry to Pinhead, but she overpowers him by becoming a butch queen, putting on some knuckle dusters and punching him.
Yeah, wherever she got the knuckle dusters from, who knows?
Yeah, fucking homeless, but she has a pair of knuckle dusters and also another new outfit between this scene and the last one. This is the worst one yet. Before she can flee, Pinhead talks her into feeding Monroe to him, promising to turn her into a demon in return.
Yeah. So,
eating JP makes the babies on the pillow come to life, lights shine through it, the statue starts spunking everywhere, and it explodes, unleashing Pinhead.
Yes, she's back.
It's such a cool reveal. Like, no matter how bad this film is, the reveal of Pinhead in this scene is just so fucking cool. Doug Bradley is great in this role. He really is. Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, season 3, let's get sickening. I know it's a different queen, but still relevant. He doesn't do the splits though. But this is why... Actually, no, I mean, all the other sequels are shit after this. but you know, Doug Bradley has that presence there, and when you get to like Hellraiser Revelations, where they cast the fucking Phil Mitchell looking guy as Pinhead, it doesn't work.
No.
I mean, I think this new female one could be good because it's taken on a different
Who's the
angle.
actress?
I believe I will do a bit of unprofessional research on this, and I will let you know because
Should I
I'm
not have
sure.
asked the question?
No, you should have, because I would like to. Jamie Clayton is Pinhead.
Jamie Clayton.
Yes, she is an actress and model.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, she's in Sense8.
Oh, the L Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's going to be great in the role. Who was it from Drag Race who auditioned?
Oh, was it Got Mick?
Mick.
Got
Yeah,
Mick
I mean
was-
that would have been great.
Yeah, Got Mick. Yeah, did a wonderful drag version of of Hellraiser.
Pinhead.
Of Pinhead, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, I have faith in this film. Because it's not another sequel, thankfully.
Yeah.
During another one of her dreams, because she couldn't give a shit about Terry, Spencer contacts Joey and she walks through her mirror into the opening scene of Hellraiser 2, to which she informs him, "I just walked through madness for you."
It didn't seem that maddening.
No.
To be fair.
He explains that his experiences in World War I caused him to lose faith in humanity, and he sought out the forbidden pleasures promised by the puzzle box. The extended version has some really horrific imagery of dead soldiers in the trenches. It kind of... Because it's Hellraiser, it kind of fits, but at the same time feels slightly out of place compared to the rest of the tones in the film.
Yeah, if that kind of scene was in the first two films, it would kind of make more sense. Yeah, it's I get what they're trying to do, and the idea of, you know, this is very much based in fantasy, but you know, there's horrific things in life as well.
Yeah.
Which, you know, handled better would have, you know, worked.
Yeah.
But it's clunky.
Yeah, Spencer tells her about his humanity to act as a balancing influence. Pinhead is completely evil and will indiscriminately wreak havoc on Earth for his own pleasure in violation of the Cenobite's laws. Well, I mean, he had plenty of chances to do that in the first two, but anyway.
I don't understand the Cenobite's laws thing.
I know, yeah. And to defeat him, Joey must reunite Spencer's spirit with Pinhead and use the puzzle box to return him to hell. Well, I mean, it didn't really work out so well for him last time, considering, you know, yeah. Literally, Hellraiser 2, he noticed his human self and he's turned into a good guy, but now he's back and he's all of a sudden wanted to kill everyone on Earth. Get fucked. So lazy, this writing. To defeat him, yeah, I've already told you that. Triumph play Troublemaker in the Boiler Room, the hair metal band.
Lovely.
Banger. On our playlist on Spotify, now it's what I call Horror Cult Trash Over.
Nice.
Along with Hellraiser by Motorhead.
Nice.
Yeah, the barbed wire baby starts to come to life as there's a statue holding a heart in the wall. There's an explosion and Pinhead appears and says, "Shall we begin?" And this scene is fucking great. Pinhead massacres everyone in the club. He rips someone's finger off, part of someone's face. He turns his head in a bizarre series of events into an icicle and stabs a woman in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid. Sends CDs flying into the DJ's face.
Yeah, well, the DJs playing in these CDs are above him, and it's very 1992
It is.
effects, CGI. The DJ's like, huh? Like looking up, huh? And then, so they, I don't know, how would you describe, I mean, become embedded in his head?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool scene.
It is.
Again, you know, Brian De Palma did it better in Carrie. Much like the club scene. Brian De Palma did much better in Body Double.
James Cameron did it better in The Terminator. You know, there's so many better nightclub scenes, but
yeah,
still, it's all this film's got going for it, isn't it?
yeah, it's good.
It's the best scene of the film.
It's a cool scene. It's a very cool scene.
It's the one that people remember the film for.
Yes.
This and the church scene. Everything else, I'm sure people couldn't tell you anything. Loads of chains are flying everywhere into people, and the doors are locked.
Chains are flying.
Yes. Hearing the news reports, Joey calls Doc, who flicks through his TV. One channel has an interview with director Anthony Hickox on it. She asks him to go to the club with her to investigate. What's wrong with his TV? Like, it has 2 channels, Anthony Hickox and people sitting around with a Turkish bath.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's it. That's the only 2 channels he has.
Was he flicking more?
Well, he keeps flicking it. It's the same 2 channels.
Oh. Strange.
When Joey's car arrives, Doc's car is there, but no one's in it. So she enters the club and finds lots of chains and corpses. Pinhead orders Joey to give him the box, but she escapes him after saying, "You're going to have to come and get it, you ugly fuck."
Yeah. It's a bit harsh, really. No point coming for his looks, is there?
I mean, the library's open for Pinhead. He had the chance to read it, but he didn't.
No.
He is that type of villain now, so he could have done it.
So he's turned the barman, the DJ, and it's revealed Doc into Cenobites.
Terry and JP as well.
Terry and... Yeah, but she doesn't see that till later, until she's at the construction site.
Well,
so just for now, she's being traced through the streets, pursued by these 3 Cenobites. The barman drinks alcohol and then...
Before we get to that point, in a bizarre series of events, she runs into the streets. She causes a taxi driver to crash his cab and burst a water pipe. Pinhead sends wires of electricity and chains after her, as well as causing random things to explode. There's something going on during the scene, though. There's 2 extras in the background. And whilst all these things are exploding as she's running down the street and all this chaos is going on, these 2 extras are just taking a casual stroll down the street, walking around like nothing's going on. They're not running, they're not screaming, nothing. They're just having a walk down the street.
Yeah. It's weird.
But yeah, then that's when we get the new Cenobites.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Doc, he has a camera embedded in his eye now.
Yeah, like... Oh, I swear, he looks like one of the Borgs from Star Trek.
He does. The first thing he says is, "Have you seen what you did to me, you little bitch?" He uses camera head to kill a random guy who is really not that worried about what's going on. And he's like, "Ready for your close-up, Joey?"
They look fucking awful.
They do.
They
It's
really
so bad.
do. For how good, the blood and guts effects are, they look like shit. These Cenobites.
The DJ has the CDs in his head still and some barbed wire. He sends CDs flying into a taxi driver's head. And the barman, this is the weird one. He looks like the barbed wire baby from the club. And he has a cocktail shaker that he uses to throw gasoline and set people on fire. Yeah.
It's
He breathes fire, for fuck's sake.
but it's gone from that sort of S&M thing in the first 2 films.
Yeah.
To gimmicky.
Yeah.
Which is what I mean. If you're doing a comedy, then that would work. Gimmicky sort of Cenobites. You could continue that through the series, but if you're also going to take yourself seriously, that doesn't quite work.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The Cenobites kill local police. Doc says that's a wrap, and I don't know why. All 3 of these Cenobites make me think of RoboCop 3.
You do keep doing an impression of RoboCop.
Yeah, but it makes me think of RoboCop 3, the shit one.
I've tried to forget that one.
I don't know why it's making me think. I don't know if there's like characters now that look similar, but that's all it makes me think of. Yeah, Joey enters a church and begs a priest to help her. He says, demons aren't real, they're parables, metaphors. Pinhead enters the church and...
Is he meant to say that?
Well, Pinhead enters the church and Joey's like, then what the fuck is that? The priest is appalled by the appearance of Pinhead, who defiles the church. He puts 2 of his pins in his hand, does the classic Jesus pose, makes things explode, says, I am the way, and other Bible quotes, and then force feeds his flesh to the priest.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a prawn kebab, doesn't it? Because his flesh is kind of like a wiggly worm, or like... yeah, I see what they're going for, but it comes across a bit cheesy, I thought.
It does, yeah. You can tell they're trying to shock. And yeah, Doug Bradley does everything he can with it, but
it's giving me, it's a boy.
Yeah, it's very nice. The whole thing's so fucking Freddy Krueger. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He almost kills the priest until Joey regains his attention to the puzzle box and gets him to chase her. Then
chase me. She
goes to a construction site where the Cenobites prepare to torture her, including Terry. She has a cigarette coming out of her throat. That's her Cenobite thing.
Yeah, I don't know why her... I mean, she had a few cigs earlier on in the film, but I didn't think that was a real character trait.
The biggest puzzle...
What else would she have?
Well, yeah, exactly. Just another ugly outfit. JP, what the fuck is that on his head?
Yeah, I've like some form of screws or something.
Yeah,
just drill
constantly going into his head. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what if you're gonna make some cheesy character trait Cenobites, then at least be consistent with it. He could have. I don't know.
Had like a drill on his dick or something. Something like that.
Flamboyant shirts or something like that.
She solves the puzzle box and they're all sent to hell. Oh my god, how pissed off would you be if you were the actors playing Terry and JP? They got all into their Cenobite fucking makeup and everything. Like, okay, yeah, you're going to hell straight away.
Yeah, for like a minute. Like, no time.
And for the first time in the Hellraiser franchise, someone calls him by his name. Joey says, play with this, Pinhead.
Which I'm assuming is meant to be an insult, not that Pinhead is his actual name.
Yeah.
But, so, in between, the first 2 films, was he known as Pinhead?
Yeah.
So did the first film come out, and he was... Because I've only known him to be called Pinhead.
He was
but
lead...
I didn't live...
I think he was called lead Cenobite, or male Cenobite originally. But yeah, then I think audiences latched on to calling him Pinhead.
Pinhead, and then it just stuck.
Yeah.
And is he credited as Pinhead?
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
The box transports Joey into limbo, where she comes face to face with an apparition who appears to be her dead father. And up until this point, she's been, career determined, bit of a queen, good final girl. But then this guy's like, I am definitely your father. I'm absolutely not Pinhead. Give me the box, bitch. Yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, here you go. Are you fucking serious? You fucking idiot. Yeah, it's Pinhead in disguise. Of course it is. And she actually gave him the box.
Yeah, it was dopey of her. It was dopey.
He then puts her in machinery and prepares to transform her into a Cenobite. Spencer's limbo-bound spirit confronts Pinhead and forcibly fuses himself into Pinhead after the best dialogue in the film, where Spencer says, now we're going to hell, and Pinhead says, ladies first.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. That did make me laugh.
Joey breaks free and uses the puzzle box, which is transformed into a dagger for some reason, to stab Pinhead through the heart, sending him back to hell.
She kind of completes the puzzle to make it into a dagger. Oh, I don't fucking know. And then another sort of like point at the screen sort of moment. So it may... I feel like this was supposed to be a 3D lesbian film. but it didn't quite work out that way.
No. Thoughts on the effect of Spencer and Pinhead forming into one?
I'm assuming it was shit.
I mean,
I
Kind
can't really
of.
remember.
yeah, it's all right. It's not. It's better than the merging effects from the next film. I think. I don't know actually. I don't know what to say about it. It's all right. It's fine. With Pinhead's humanity restored, the box returns Joey to Earth. She buries it in a pool of concrete. Remember that for the next film at the construction site. Later, the finished product of the same site is revealed. A building whose interior design is identical to the box. And we are then given Hellraiser by Motorhead over the end credits. And that's Hellraiser 3.
That's Hellraiser 3. That's Hellraiser 3 Try Harder.
The beginning of the end for the franchise.
Which is shocking considering it's... You look at the third installment of these franchises. Dream Warrior.
Yeah.
Incredible. Friday the 13th 3D.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
An Acquired Taste.
Entertaining.
Hellraiser 3. Ugh. Like, you don't want it to be too formulaic, but
No.
you still want, by the third installment, you still want it to be true to the original.
Yeah.
And it's, it was, I don't know how to describe it, because I'm not absolutely fuming at it.
No.
But there's a lot wrong with it that could have been done better.
Yeah.
I wish they would have gone for the darker, more serious tone.
Yeah.
Because that's how it should have been.
Yeah.
I feel like there's too much going on. You're humanising Pinhead, which I think is a silly thing to do.
Yeah.
In the third film. You've got Joey's relationship with her father. You've got Terry and JP, which doesn't feel fully formed.
Mm-hmm.
JP doesn't really feel fully formed as a character, even though he's an antagonist in the film for most of it. He only actually sacrifices one person to Pinhead.
Yeah.
And it's just messy.
It is.
Messy is the
big
word
mess.
I'm looking for. Messy.
Yeah. The whole thing's one big mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't completely hate it.
No.
I've seen the entire franchise. This is not even close to being the worst one.
Well, it's actually not the worst one we're discussing today.
No. Yeah, it's, you know what, if I was watching the 3 as a trilogy, I wouldn't be against watching it again. Preferably I'd just watch 1 and 2 though. But I wouldn't say, oh, I'm never watching that piece of shit again. Because it is fun, it is entertaining for the most part. It's just fucking shit though.
Yeah, it's messy, but it's silly.
Yeah.
It's a silly mess.
Yeah.
You can still be entertained by it. Just don't spend an hour of your life discussing it on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've done it for you.
Yeah. But sadly, we'll have to move on to this one. Hellraiser Bloodline from 1996. Directed by Alan Smithy. Now, he gets around a bit. He did Stitches 1985, Let's Get Harry, Gypsy Angels, Catch Fire, Bloodstuck in Pharaohs in Pittsburgh, which I personally really liked, Raging Angels, Smoke and Lighting, Dilemma, Neo Wolf, Sex and Water, Death Call, etc., etc. He's got a very extensive career. It's because he's not a real person.
Yes.
He is a name that directors like to use when they're so embarrassed of the finished products.
Yeah, essentially, if a director has made a film, it's usually if they believe there's been too much interference by studios.
Yeah.
And therefore the product isn't actually a product of their work,
Yeah.
then they can have the director's name changed to Alan Smithy.
Yeah, the actual director.
Generally means a death toll
Yeah.
at the box office,
Absolutely.
though.
Which is shocking. When we get to the how much it's made, that's quite shocking.
It doesn't happen to good films.
No. Kevin Yeager is the actual director, who was a producer on Sleepy Hollow. He did makeup and special effects for 13 going on 30, Blow, Face Off, Mission Impossible 2, The Dentist, Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde, Rumpelstiltskin, Children of the Corn 3, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, Bill and Ted Trilogy, Bride of Chucky, Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, Dream Master, Phantom of the Opera, the Robert Englund one, The Final Chapter, Friday the 13th. So he's got quite a good portfolio under his belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't blame him for taking his name off this. Budget $4 million, and it made $9.3 million at the box office. How the fuck did this make that much money? It's not great, but that's far more than it deserves.
1996, where were other franchises at?
Scream was beginning. New Nightmare.
Scream wasn't until later in 96.
It's true.
So Scream was December.
Yeah. So Nightmare on Elm Street had the New Nightmare.
New Nightmare didn't
By
do
that point.
particularly well.
No. Misunderstood classic. Friday the 13th had Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was a mess. Well, apart from Nightmare on Elm Street, 'cause like I said, New Nightmare deserved better. But elsewhere, I mean, what, you had fucking Children of the Corn 20 by this point.
Yeah,
Leprechaun.
I'm surprised it made money.
Yeah.
I am surprised it made money because of where horror was at that time.
Yeah. Getting into the trivia, Adam Scott was grateful for getting cast, citing the film as being a huge deal for booking a real film, which he took very seriously. He remarked that on his first day to the set, he was shown his chair that was mistakenly labelled as Adam Craig. Scott said it was a nice welcome to Hollywood. Despite the film's troubled production and box office failure, Scott didn't care.
Failure?
I know, how is that a failure? You made your money back. You're fucking lucky. Scott didn't care as long as he was working. Later in need of work...
Are we misunderstanding what makes a box office success and box office failure?
I mean,
I suppose if you're looking at budget, that doesn't include marketing.
Yeah, if it doesn't include marketing, then that's...
Then maybe it made a loss.
Yeah, maybe. But seriously, it should have made less than this. A film like this is a disaster. Later, in need of work, Scott even auditioned for the sequel with the hope that the casting directors wouldn't remember him from the last film, and no one said anything in the audition. However, he suspects someone remembered him because he wasn't hired. Walt Disney Pictures came under fire in the media when they purchased then controversial and hip Miramax Films. The initial slate...
controversial.
Not so hip.
No.
The initial slate of films that Miramax would be releasing under the Disney deal included Hellraiser Bloodline, Scream, The Prophecy, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, and Mother's Boys. The outcry was due to the fact that Disney, a family-friendly film studio, would be directly involved in the marketing and release of horror films, despite the fact that Miramax was only a subsidiary company. And the film wouldn't bear the Disney logo. Lionsgate would eventually buy Miramax from Disney in the 2000s. People, are they over this now? Disney not just belonging to family stuff? I mean, we've got loads of adult stuff on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, it would have been different back then, though. Disney would have been known as family-friendly entertainment. And that's all they would have been known for.
Yeah.
So I can understand why back in 1996 Disney releasing a horror film would be, oh my lord, good gracious. Obviously now things are much different.
Yeah.
But it's called Disney Plus, but anything adult orientated on there comes under the Stars banner. So they're still very much in keeping with the Disney family-friendly entertainment image.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, even when they're trying to donate money to homophobic causes. But that's a story for a different day.
We haven't got time for that.
I believe they've gone back on it now, but still, come on, guys. Due to the film's...
they?
Yeah,
know
I believe they took the name off it now, or something like that. Something to that effect, anyway. A little too late. Due to the film's critical and financial failure, this would be the last Hellraiser film to get a wide theatrical release, although some of the latest sequels are screened at film festivals and in various other limited screenings before going straight to video. This film was theatrically released. Just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
This could have been seen at your local fucking Odeon or Showcase Cinemas or Cineworld if it was released nowadays. That is bizarre.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose it is bizarre. But, you know, ultimately, it's a Hellraiser film, and it was a big name.
Yeah.
So, I think it's difficult to kind of, for us to think of these random sequels getting theatrical releases. I mean, I know we've just had Scream 5, but Scream 5 was a huge deal.
Yeah.
There's gaps in between.
Yeah.
I suppose, I mean, I was never that interested in Saw at the time, but Saw is probably the most recent one where they were churning out the sequels and they're all getting theatrically released.
That's true.
Like, Final Destination 5, I saw that at the cinema.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity.
You know, and Lord knows Final Destination 5 was shit.
Yeah. Excuse me, no it wasn't.
Well,
That's 4.
Which one did I see?
4.
The one with the car wash?
4.
Oh, okay, 4 was shit. Anyway. So I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Though promotional photos of aristocratic Cenobites wearing white powdered wigs were released in various sci-fi magazines to promote the film, the Cenobites were cut from the finished film along with demon clowns and an entire ballroom fancy dress party as the studio wanted to get to Pinhead's story sooner.
Ugh.
I honestly, demon clowns and white powdered wigs might have brightened us up a little.
Again, might have, yeah. Oh, I don't know, nothing could.
Del Toro declined the chance to direct this film.
Yeah.
Good on him. I feel like he could have done something good with this, though. This is...
I felt like he could have done something good with Nightmare Alley.
Wow. In the Hellraiser films and their legacy, author Paul Kane described this screenplay as ambitious and one of the best Hellraiser sequels.
The thing is, at the end of the day, we could sit here and say, oh, so-and-so would have made this a great film, so-and-so would have made this a great film. But ultimately, we see a pattern where a lot of these kind of films fail because the director can't get along with the producers.
Yeah.
Or the writer doesn't get along with the director and the producer and so on and so forth. Or the studio, has too much say and the director takes that personally. Hence Alan Smithy, all that business. So I suppose you could turn around and say, well, David Cronenberg would have made a wonderful version of this film. But David Cronenberg probably would have gotten into an even bigger argument with the, production company, the producers or the studio or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a difficult one. It's difficult. And obviously we're not there on set, so we don't know, and it's been a very long time. So when we ridicule the film, we are sort of... I think sometimes it's sort of aimed all at the director, when I don't think it's always the director's fault when a film fails. I mean, they've got to be somewhat responsible for it, but I don't think you can point it all in the director's direction.
No, I don't think so.
Put it fully intended.
So Paul Kane, he wrote a screenplay featuring a linear timeline, more special effects, and violent confrontations between Pinhead and Angelique.
Oh.
When Miramax was unwilling to provide a budget to realise these scenes, the film was scaled back. Stuart Gordon, known for his low-budget horror films, was approached to direct but backed out after artistic disagreements. Special effects technician Kevin Yeager was subsequently hired after his cost-saving directing work on Tales from the Crypt for Joel Silver. Yeager was initially hesitant about taking the job as he did not want to do a retread of the previous installments of the Hellraiser franchise.
Fucking hell, wish he had.
I wish he did. However, he was impressed with the script and became enthusiastic after Clive Barker described his vision for the film. Yeah, so this is listed as Clive Barker presents Hellraiser.
So Clive
Bloodlines.
Barker knew all this shit was
Yeah.
going on. Oh.
Rimmer, played by Christine Harnos, was originally male but was rewritten in later draft after several female characters are streamlined out, including a descendant of Kirsty Cotton who would serve as Paul's love interest.
Oh. Wow.
Was allegedly intended to be the final Hellraiser film, ending with Pinhead destroyed once and for all. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. He's destroyed once and for all, like fucking 50 years into the future.
I know, yeah.
What does that mean for the present timeline? We know he's still alive and many more sequels could be made. Fucking idiots.
He's never alive, really.
No.
I mean, it's never really explained how he comes back
Yeah.
in part 3. You know, what? Why is he in this statue? Why, you know, why is he not back with the box? Why is the box in the statue? I don't get it. Or am I misremembering part 2? I don't know.
No. Stuart Gordon, yeah, we know he was attached. Joe Chappelle was the studio's first choice to direct the film and actually agreed to direct Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers on the understanding he'd be allowed to direct this film, which he was more interested in.
Lord.
But eventually declined the offer due to feeling burned out.
Screwed either way. Bloody hell.
Well, yeah, he declined it because he was burned out after the production of Hellraiser 6. Chappelle was eventually brought on board.
Halloween 6.
Yeah. After Yeager quit, but there wasn't enough time or money to reshoot enough of the film for Chappelle to be solely credited as the director. So he directed some of it, but not all of it. So Kevin Yeager quit during production.
Okay, so fabulous. So Joe Chappelle directed 2 of the worst horror sequels I have ever seen.
So 6 and... What else did he do?
This one.
Oh yeah, partially,
This is abysmal. I mean, I haven't seen the ones that come after it, but this is abysmal.
Yeah.
Shite. He also directed The Schools 2. And then episodes of the Fringe, Fringe and CSI Miami and such, Chicago Fire and so on and so forth.
Valentina Vargas, who plays Angelique, said she was reluctant to take the role because of nightmares about Pinhead, but she soon became interested in exploring her character's seductive and evil nature. Originally a demon summoned through black magic who commissions the Lament configuration, her origin was changed to be dependent on the box.
Yeah, not... Yeah.
She should be having nightmares of making this fucking film.
There's not much you can make of it. Oh, her seductive now. Yeah, she just acts a bit vampy. Like, come on.
Also, her voice was overdubbed by another actress.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Kim Myers is in this from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street
Meryl Streep herself. She was written to mirror Larry from the first film. Both of them suspect their spouses of infidelity. That doesn't come across at all here. That really does not come across.
Oh my god, there was one moment where she's in bed looking a little confused because he had a phone call at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
She's given nothing to do.
But nothing comes of that at all. Like, she's barely in the film.
Yeah.
Like, really? She's barely any character. Yeah, okay. Wait until we get into it, then I'll let you know.
Due to the film's unpopularity with fans and critics, Arrow Video declined to accept this film as part of their limited edition Blu-ray restoration of the Hellraiser films, only including the first 3 films in the Scarlet Box. As Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth was only included via a limited time deal with Miramax, the set has now gone out of print. But I think they must have sorted it out because there's other versions you could buy of it with Hellraiser 3. And I believe you could buy that separately as well. So.
Oh, okay.
But come on, Arrow. I understand you're not including this, but seriously, Hellraiser 3. Could have just released the first 2.
Yeah, but trilogy sounds a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
The Hellraiser quadrilogy doesn't sound quite right.
So getting into our second feature film, our second journey into the adventures of leading man Pinhead. In the 22nd century, a scientist attempts to right the wrong his ancestors created, the puzzle box that opens the gates of hell and unleashes Pinhead and his Cenobite legions. Okay, calm down, I won't say legions.
Not quite legions.
This is the one that jumps the shark and sends Pinhead to space. And yet, it's still fucking boring.
It is dull. Very dull. It's just so hard to care.
Yeah. It starts off, and this is definitely Joe Chappelle's input. Do you remember Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers? It starts off with that quick flash of Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we get the same here. We get a quick flash of Pinhead and a scream, just like Halloween 6.
Yes.
Why did Dimension Films think this was cool?
Oh, no.
So
clue.
stupid.
I really have no clue.
Followed by opening credits without the iconic score. And honestly, that point is just like, okay, why should I care about this?
Yeah, they're trying hard to copy it.
Yeah, but it sounds terrible.
It does sound bad.
We're taken to 2127, where Dr. Paul Merchant, an engineer, seals himself in the room aboard the Minos, a space station that he designed. As armed guards attempt to break through the door, Merchant manipulates a robot into solving a terrible CGI version of the Lament configuration, destroying the robot in the process.
Yeah, that CGI is awful.
Which is a shame
Even
because...
for 96.
Yeah, I mean,
bad.
it's a shame because the only good thing in this film, is the practical effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why can't you just have the fucking box there? Is it really that difficult?
Yeah. The guards break through the door.
Yeah.
And apprehend Merchant. Is it Rimmer? It is Rimmer, isn't it? What does Rimmer say?
What's she say?
Consider yourself relieved.
He's also relieved of hair in between scenes.
Yeah. I've got it here. When did they shave Merchant's hair?
This happens throughout the film. His hair changes length so many times throughout this fucking film.
When he's being questioned, he's suddenly like bald. They had short hair beforehand, but not like shaved hair. So he does that thing where like, if I tell you the story, you're not going to believe me. And and by all accounts, they're on a tight schedule, but anyway, he agrees to explain his motivations to Rimmer. They're not from Red Dwarf. That just makes me think of Red Dwarf, Rimmer. Rimmer in space. What does it make you think of?
Getting rimmed.
Lovely. So the film flashes back to Paris, France, 1796. Dr. Merchant's ancestor, Philippe Le Marchand,
Yeah.
see what they did there? A French toy maker makes the lament configuration on commission from the libertine aristocrat Duc de l'Isle. Unbeknownst to Le Marchand, L'Isle... no, my French ain't great. L'Isle's specifications for the box make it a portal to hell. Upon delivering the box to him, Lamar... I can't do this. He watches as he and his assistant Jacques sacrifice a peasant girl and use her flayed off skin to summon a demon, Angelique, through the box.
Yeah, Jacques is Adam Scott. And by the way, your French might not be great, but neither is the cast's French, apparently.
Yeah, let's make it very clear.
There's not a single French person in France, yet they've got all these fucking French names. Are you fucking serious?
So, the film has done that incredibly lazy thing where, even though it is Paris, France, 1796, they either have a British accent and they all speak English.
Yeah.
They either have a British accent or, in Adam Scott's case, an American accent.
Yeah.
Even though they are, by all accounts, French people.
Yeah. Like, seriously, it's only a small portion of the film. Have it with subtitles.
Yeah.
I'm sure it won't put many people off. The film's shit anyway, so having subtitles isn't going to scare anyone off.
It's just saying to the audience, we don't think you're very smart. We don't think you want to see subtitles, or we don't think you can read.
Yeah.
You know, it's just very, I suppose, condescending in a way.
Yeah.
But it questions, it kind of questions the intelligence of who they perceive to be their audience. And it just comes across really fucking stupid. At least have a French accent, for fuck's sake. Even a bad French accent, put some effort into it. And this part is, as well, I suppose, is where you would have gotten the white makeup people.
And the ballroom stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ballroom stuff. And I think if they had made this into a kind of Marquis de Sade kind of situation, then it would have been really on brand for Hellraiser as a series. And it could really have set up the scene, you know, and I actually think the film would have really benefited from it if it had more of that. You know, it writes itself. Marquis de Sade, sadism, you know, everything Clive Barker's ever done.
Yeah.
You know, it plays into that. And I suppose that's kind of what Clive Barker's vision would have been. It's a shame he didn't have more of an involvement in these films.
Yeah.
Because there is the fundamentals of a decent film. If this whole film had been a prequel and set during this time, and about the creation of the lament configuration, then you could have had a decent film here.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what's most annoying, is that really there are parts that could have really played out well, but it fails on every level.
Yeah.
So you have this, you know, English guy and an American guy who are meant to be French.
Yeah, Le Marchand, he runs home in terror where he begins working on blueprints for a second box, which will neutralise the effects of the first. Returning to the...
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
If he's unaware that what he's just created is a gateway to hell, how can then he suddenly realise how to make one that closes the gateway to hell?
Yeah.
Like, if
So
he was
dumb.
aware of all of them, if he knew what to do to create a portal to hell, then he would have known. He was like, no, this seems familiar, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You know?
So stupid. He returns to Le Isle's mansion to steal the box. Le Merchant discovers that Jacques has killed Le Isle, whatever the fuck his name is, and taken control over Angelique, who agrees to be his slave so long as he does not impede the wishes of hell. She says, "Toymaker, you have such light fingers. I want you to play with me." Oh, how profound.
One of the funniest things is when he makes the lament configuration and he's so pleased. He's like, "Oh my god, I've done it." And his wife comes in and she's like, "Oh my god, you've done it. Oh, it looks lovely." And then he just kind of does what they do in all the films, where the puzzle box actually, it doesn't really come across as a puzzle box.
No.
He kind of plays with it. She's like, "Oh, it doesn't actually do anything." And it's kind of like how I thought about the box. Right? So for them to call it a toy, I've never looked at it as a toy.
No.
I suppose it's kind of a puzzle box, but it's always been a puzzle box that does it itself.
Yeah, but it's kind of... The whole thing, let's face it, is symbolism for a clay, isn't it? You're trying to find the G-spot of the puzzle box.
Okay.
I mean, the way they rub it, come on. It is absolutely trying to be something filthy.
Yeah, probably.
That's, you know, it's Clive Barker. Of course that's what he's going for.
Yeah, but they're saying it's a toy maker. That's a toy, but it's not really a toy.
No.
So, it is technically a reed. But she's not lying
No.
when she says, "Oh, it doesn't actually do anything." She's pregnant, by the way.
Yeah, useful for the rest of the story.
Well, that's the thing. She's conveniently pregnant. Because the pair kill Le Marchand.
Yeah.
And Jacques informs him that his bloodline is now cursed for helping open the portal to hell. So yeah, very convenient that his wife's pregnant. If she hadn't been pregnant, then it wouldn't really have been a problem. It would have been like, what bloodline? Like, and he's a pretty young dude as well, to be fair. You know, it was perfectly feasible that he wouldn't have a child or a pregnant wife. So yeah, that happens.
Yeah, and then we're taken to 1996.
Adam Scott, sorry, I've just realised Adam Scott is giving more surfer dude than French aristocrat.
Yeah, we're taken to 1996, where Le Marchand's descendant, John Merchant,
who is a dead ringer for Harry Styles. Like, seriously.
I love how they go from Le Marchand to John.
Yeah. Well, no, Le Marchand is his surname. I don't know what his first
John Merchant.
Was it Philippe Le Marchand? And then his descendant, John Merchant. So it's not really given how he's ended up in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really. I mean, there was immigration from France to America, you know, after the 1700s, but I don't think it was huge.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If anything, he was probably more likely to go to Canada, but they wanted to make it American film.
I'm sure they didn't look into that at all.
So they can conveniently place him right where someone not too long ago threw a box in some concrete.
Yeah. Bruce Ramsey plays all three versions of Merchant.
Yes.
It's fucking stupid. He's married to Kim Myers from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and has built a skyscraper in Manhattan that resembles the Lament configuration as seen at Hellraiser 3.
Yeah, so inside, I have to say, pretty ugly.
It is, yeah.
It works as a box, but not as decor.
No.
You know, you wouldn't have your wallpaper in it. It's a little merch, isn't it?
Seeing an article on a building in a magazine, Angelique asks a very greasy Jacques, to take her to the United States so that she can confront him. Poor Adam Scott. Did they dip his head in a fucking chip fryer?
Very, very sweaty and greasy. Yeah, so literally the whole premise of this film is based on Angelique seeing a magazine cover with this John Merchant on. It's been 200 years, and she's suddenly, out of nowhere, has this... She's still in France, by all accounts, still in the same building.
Still dressed the same.
Still dressed the same, 200 years later, and by chance, it's fucking Architect Digest or something, completely random, and this is how she figures out the bloodline.
Yeah.
After 200 years.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely ridiculous. So stupid.
Yeah. When Jacques denies her request, Angelique kills him as Merchant poses a threat to Hal. Oh no. Shut the... This film's so fucking dumb.
So, he poses a threat to Hal. But there's been 200 years of ancestors that haven't.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think she would have kept an eye on the pregnant wife.
I know, yeah.
And kind of followed that and followed them to America.
Could have just killed the pregnant wife.
Could have actually just killed the pregnant wife, to be fair. It is very confusing.
It's almost like the film was like, oh, okay, we need to be set in present day as well. So we've got past, present and future. How clever are we?
Yeah. When actually, this would have been... I hate to beat a dead horse, but you could have just had the whole thing set Marquis de Sade style at the creation of it, and had it as a prequel to the other films, and it would have worked really well. I might just do that, actually. You know, if anyone wants to, you know, send me some money on PayPal, just let me know. I'll give you the deets. and I'll make that for you. Absolutely hilarious when Jacques turns around and says, "Screw America," in an incredibly thick American accent.
What are we meant to think he's French? What do they want us to believe here?
Ridiculous. Screw America when he's got an American accent.
Yeah.
Also, if they've been alive 200 years, how didn't they know about Kirsty and Joey?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure all that shit made the news in America, but the only time they've become aware of any of it is through Architecture Digest.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the only thing they read.
Times.
They actually don't digest any other type of media, it's just that magazine.
Which is confusing considering they've lived in the same building for 200 years. And it doesn't appear like they've done the place up at any point either. Very confusing.
Angelique travels to the United States where she fails to seduce Merchant. Discovering the lament configuration in the building's foundation, Angelique tricks the security guard into solving it, which summons Pinhead, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Hey.
Doug Bradley's back again. The two immediately clash. As Pinhead represents a shift in the ideologies of hell, which she left behind 200 years ago, while Angelique believes in corrupting people through temptation, Pinhead is fanatically devoted to pain and suffering. Shut the fuck up.
What a load of shit.
That is
Absolute
such a
load of
poor
crap.
excuse. Such a poor excuse for conflict. And spoiler alert, by the end of the film, she's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'll be your Cenobite, Pinhead, go on then.
What does it even mean?
Fuck off.
Anyway, look, what are they trying to say? I was a little confused, and I know you were as well, where exactly she did discover the lament configuration.
Oh, I know, yeah. So, we saw, at the end of the last film, it went into the floor.
Yeah.
It was in the floor, buried in concrete, but somehow it is in a pillar inside the building in this film.
She's like, yeah,
sorry,
thanks, love.
Did these pillars just raise out of the ground magically? Like, how the fuck is that in there? That makes no sense.
No, it should be in concrete.
Like, watch the third film.
Joey made a big point of putting it in concrete.
If you're going to make a sequel, watch the third film.
Exactly. Or if you're going to connect it to the third film.
Yeah, don't have this entire fucking...
Because then it takes you out of the film. Because
Yeah.
you're like, what?
Yeah.
Angelique goes to pester John at work.
Yeah.
And he has a very sexy dream about shagging her. She then calls him in the middle of the night to meet up, and he agrees, which doesn't best please his wife, Kim Myers.
No. Well...
Kind of. She just kind of has a moment where she's like, huh?
She deserves so much better than this.
Doesn't go anywhere. There's no showdown between the two.
No.
Completely pointless.
Well, despite their conflicting views...
Just a little question. This is a very general question, so it's not to do with the film. But in a lot of films that we've watched, obviously older films, everyone had a phone next to their bed.
Yeah.
Now, I've never had a phone next to... When we had landlines back in the day, you had one landline in the front room.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when the internet happened, we had to have a landline upstairs, where the computer was. But I've never known anyone, I'm assuming it's an American thing, to have a landline phone next to their bed.
No, so dumb.
Because if you're going to get a call in the middle of the night, you know, you're going to hear it from... Unless these houses are so big. I don't know. It's just something that... I kind of... Because I was so fucking bored by the rest of the film. You can tell that the film is fucking dire when the only question I've got is, did people have phones next to their beds? Obviously we have mobile phones now, so everyone's got their fucking phone next to their heads in the middle of the night.
Well, despite their conflicting views, Pinhead and Angelique forge an uneasy alliance to kill Merchant before he can complete the Elysium configuration, an anti-limit configuration that creates perpetual light and would serve to permanently close all gateways to hell. This is his day job. What the fuck is he doing with his life?
Yeah, so apparently part of his bloodline is that he knows how to do this, and it's taken 200 years. 2 twin security guards at the building share a pointless, quite transphobic anecdote before discovering a door that shouldn't exist.
The thing is, I feel like they were trying to do the opposite, but it's so badly written. It comes because he's like, "Oh, would you ever have sex with a transgendered person?" Like, yeah, I would. But then goes on to make really transphobic comments. It's like, okay, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
Like, what, really? This is like the most LGBTQ plus positive story in, the original Hellraiser. Why would you include something like that in one of the sequels?
It's just... I just don't... It's completely pointless in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
It's not really a joke.
No.
But I feel like it was meant to be played off as a joke. It's not really transphobic, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because it's played off as a joke. It's just completely I don't understand. I really don't get it. Again, it's really, really poor writing.
It is. Pinhead stroking a bird, and feeds it to his Cenobite dog.
What kind of bird? Like a real
dove. A dove. Because that's edgy. He feeds it to his Cenobite dog, who has the same teeth as Chatterer.
Yes.
The twin guards, they discovered a doorway to Pinhead's hangout spot, don't they?
Yeah.
Pinhead grows hooks.
I realised they were twins. Again,
yeah, and me. I didn't realise that
I was
first.
so bored by this point.
Pinhead grows hooks on his fingers.
Oh my god, he's had his nails done, sickening, looking very glam.
Yeah, he starts to cut down Angelique's chest. The security guards agree that they'll stick together forever. And that graduation song starts playing.
Oh, shut up.
They find Pinhead, and they say, "Don't make us put some pain on you." So Pinhead delivers a big monologue, and I've got every word here. He says, "Pain, how dare you use that word? What you think of as pain is only a shadow. Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you, gentlemen. I am pain." That might have meant something, 3 films ago, when you actually were scary.
It's just a bit cringe now, isn't it?
It's like, Pinhead saying something provocative again. Oh, bloody hell.
Blah, 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 pain.
He's got
blah, blah,
hooks
blah,
on his fingers now. He then, after they said, "We'll stick together forever," he joins them together into one Cenobite, because that's where we're at now.
Well, it's like screwing. It's actually quite a good effect.
Oh, yeah, no. The practical effects are great.
Yeah, the only thing stopping this film from
half
a star is the effects. They are pretty good. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Angelique and Pinhead initially collaborate to corrupt Merchant, but Pinhead grows tired of Angelique's seductive techniques and threatens to kill Merchant's wife and child. This comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know when Pinhead is angry with her or not, because when he's like, "Oh yes, I want hell for this, you want hell for that, whatever, let's just kill someone." Then he's like, "Oh, I'm sick of you silly bitch, I'm gonna kill his kid now." What?
Yeah, he's... I don't get it. Whatever. I really don't give a shit. Random cut to Merchant's son Jack being rude to his mother because he's playing with mechanos. You know how rude that kid was?
I know, yeah.
So rude. Then, in the grand tradition of films I've given up on, I've got a bullet point with the letter L. I've got another bullet point with the letter L for some reason, and a bullet point with Daddy in quotation marks.
Oh, this is where Pinhead.
Okay, so I think I remember now. So Bobby, who's Kim Myers, she goes down a really dull, scary-looking corridor to then go into the laundry room, which is really brightly lit and really nice.
That's not a usual complaint from you.
No, but it's the fact that, so she has a really nice house, this really nice apartment, he's the #1 architectural superstar in New York, and there's just this one corridor that's really dank and disgusting, but it leads to a perfectly nice room.
Yeah.
It's like, and she's like, I'm going to the laundry room. Oh no! What film did we watch recently where they did that and I was ridiculous?
I don't know.
Like the girl was acting as if. Oh, what was was it podcast?
I think it was a podcast
film where she was just walking in general. Nothing had happened. Nothing had happened to her in her life. She'd lived a perfectly nice life, but just because she was walking down one corridor and happened to be in a horror film, that she was acting as if she was being followed.
I was. What film was it? What film was it?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you
was
mean.
it Fright Fest
I know
film?
what you mean. It may have been a Fright Fest film.
Probably a Fright Fest film.
Was it The House on Haunted Hill? No.
No. But no, she literally, and then at the end, she's like perfectly fine. Oh, what was it? Oh, that's gonna annoy me.
Was it My Bloody Valentine?
No, more recent than that. Like, I feel like we've watched it within the last 2 weeks. And I thought it was hilarious. It's like, why is she acting like this? When there was absolutely no threat whatsoever.
Oh, that's gonna really bug me now because I
It's
know.
really, you
I
know what
really
I'm
feel
talking
like
about as well.
I really feel like we discussed it on the podcast.
I do feel like that.
It wasn't I Know Who Killed Me, was it?
No.
We're height of our professionalism here.
We'll have to let you know. Unless someone else knows of a recent... Well, I don't think it's a recent film, necessarily.
No.
But I was sat there and I was like, there was absolutely no reason for her to be acting scared of anything.
Wait, was it Texas Chainsaw Massacre? The Netflix?
No, I don't think so.
Bride of Chucky?
No, sooner than that.
That's generally the only horror films we've watched over the last...
It may not have been... Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'll
Okay,
have to let you know.
We won't keep you bored sitting here listening to it.
Trying to figure it
what it
out.
was. Final Scream, that's my final offer.
No.
No, I have
No,
no
it was
idea.
more. It was sooner than that. I
That's-
think it was a Fright Fest film.
Maybe the Fright Fest film.
I do think it was a Fright Fest film.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's fine. Having grown accustomed to a decadent life on Earth, Angelique wants no part of Hal's new fanatical austerity, and she intends to force Merchant to activate the Alcium configuration and destroy Hal, thus freeing her from its imperatives and completely going back on everything she said in this film so far, because this film is a fucking mess. So you was the laundry room, Pinhead standing there holding hands with a little boy.
Oh yeah.
And then he says, "Daddy," in the child's voice.
In the child's voice, it's so stupid. They're trying to go for something, and it really looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And sounds ridiculous. I genuinely stopped giving a shit. I really did. What even happens after that? I don't fucking know.
I mean, in any other film that would probably be quite intense. Pinhead's got a child with him. He's about to, murder a
Have
child.
we even seen this child before this point? I mean, the wife, Bobby, had like 2 lines of dialogue. Absolutely ridiculous. Merchant goes to save his wife and kid. Pinhead kills Merchant, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In a really good effect, like cutting his head off, like really good effect. But Bobby opens Angelique's lament configuration, sending Pinhead and Angelique back to hell.
Yes, and his dog as well.
And his dog. Oh yeah, the dog explodes, doesn't it?
No, that's later on in the film. It goes back to hell
is it?
first.
Oh, fuck's sake. So yeah, why Bobby knows what to do, no idea.
Yeah,
She did her research.
Has she seen the other films? Because
She must have.
she genuinely, she just knows how to send him back to hell.
Exactly what to do. It feels like this middle section is, well, all three sections feel like they could have been a fully formed film. You could have had 3 films in the Hellraiser franchise, you know, with this one film. So they all feel ridiculously underdeveloped.
Yeah.
The characters are ridiculously underdeveloped, particularly Bobby.
Yeah.
And it feels unfinished and rushed and just really, really shit. At this point, I was like, I really don't care because you've fucked up 2 stories now.
Yeah.
And I know you're gonna fuck up the 3rd one.
Yeah, and this is honestly, this could be the worst one.
Yeah.
The future one, where it should have been the most fun because it's Pinhead in space.
Exactly.
Come on, it writes itself.
Yeah.
Even if it's shit, it should be entertaining. But it is the most boring one.
So boring.
Out of all of them.
I've literally just, you know, and his little behind the scenes secret. But I've literally just copied and pasted from Wikipedia.
You've told the secret so many times now. It's not a secret anymore.
Yeah, but I haven't even added any notes.
Yeah.
I haven't added anything to this. I will just be reading from Wikipedia.
Yeah, back in the future, Rimmer disbelieves...
Excuse me, I'm a changed man. I usually, you know, I don't do that anymore with original versus remake.
Okay. Back in the future, Rimmer disbelieves Dr. Merchant's story and has him locked away. However, Pinhead and his followers, now including an enslaved Angelique, who is now fine with all of this. She's just like, yeah, whatever. She's had her head split open somehow.
Well, she's given Star Wars pigtails.
Yeah.
I thought.
But with a skin.
Yeah, but with a skin.
I
can't remember what they're called. The one that does the dance in Jabba's...
Yeah, Jabba's slave.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pinhead's already been freed after Merchant opened the box. Okay. Did it do anything? I just thought the robot exploded at the start of the film. How...
Something must have happened.
Upon learning of Dr. Merchant's intentions, they kill the entire crew of the ship, save for Rimmer and Merchant, who escape. Dr. Merchant reveals that the Minos is in fact the final perfected form of the Elysium configuration, and that by activating it, it can kill Pinhead and permanently seal the gateway to hell. None of your other ancestors could have done this? No? You had to wait till 21-27 to do it? Okay. Dr. Merchant distracts Pinhead with a hologram while he boards an escape pod with Rimmer, who kills the Cenobite dog by blasting it to pieces. Once clear of the station, he activates the Elysium configuration. A series of powerful lasers and mirrors create a field of perpetual light, while the station transforms and folds around the light to create a massive box. The light is trapped within the box, killing Pinhead and his followers, thus ending Pinhead's existence, this time permanently. And I just gave you a really, really shortened version of what goes on there, because it goes on forever.
Yeah.
And yes, Pinhead is destroyed forever. In 21-27.
21-27.
Seriously?
So, number one, if the ability to make this Elysium configuration is somehow in the bloodline,
Yeah.
again, why has it taken centuries to get to this point?
Yeah.
Number two, where was Pinhead between 1996 and 21-27? Like, if nothing happened in between that was good enough for a story... If nothing happened in between that was good enough for a story, then surely just leave the fucking box alone.
Yeah.
Like, why are you messing about
Why
with
are
it?
you bringing it back? Just leave him there. That's it.
Number three, if Merchant has released evil at the beginning of the story, why the long-winded stories? Like, surely if Rimmer was going to believe, you know, any of the stories, they would... excuse me. She would have believed a shortened version.
Yeah. Also...
Like, we've just watched it, and surely to tell that story out loud must be really long-winded.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they not dead already?
Yeah.
If Pinhead is just going around this space station,
Yeah.
then why are they not dead already? Because we know from previous films and, you know, this film that he can just conjure up whatever he wants,
It's
whenever
true.
he wants.
Also, why are they forgetting the premise of the first two films?
Yeah.
This was not the point of Pinhead.
No.
Literally, they only bug the people who open the box and anyone who gets in the way. Why is he going around killing an entire space station like he's a slasher villain? Like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not what Hellraiser is. It's so dumb, and it assumes its audience are dumb as well. So, oh, you can't understand the complex nature of the first two films. So here's a really dumbed down slasher film for you, but with loads of boring ramblings about good and evil and whatever the fuck they're going on about.
I gave up. It's one of the films, and even though I knew we were gonna have to spend time discussing it, I gave up. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here. I mean, the thing is, you know, Hellraiser 3 wasn't good, but it looks like
It wasn't as dull as this.
It looks like a masterpiece compared to this. It's
dull, boring, lifeless, completely wasted opportunity as well, because there was some half decent ideas that were just really mishandled.
Yeah.
But dull as dishwater, really, really boring.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, as you know, unforgivable.
Yeah. Can't say we
but
recommend
the effects were alright. The effects were
alright.
Watch like a kill count or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy that.
But yes, with these Hellraiser films, we're not here to recommend anything past 2. But, you know, we're here to discuss them for you so you don't sit through them.
Yes.
Let us know on social media which one you prefer. I think we already know the answer. We're Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram, Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm Dead at Gaz92 on Letterboxd, Gazmo205 on Instagram, and GazCruise92 on Twitter.
I'm Chris Barker823 on Instagram and Letterboxd.
Give us a rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, like a follow on everything else.
If you know what film we're talking about, the way she randomly is scared walking down a corridor, please let us know.
Yeah, wow, I mean, it could be a long list.
Because that will be our topic of conversation for the rest of this evening.
So, we've got a lot coming up for you guys, so I hope you're not sick of our voices yet. Friday, it's original versus remake time, and we're discussing both versions of Child's Play.
Yes.
Week today, Tuesday, we will be back kicking off April with more 90s horror, An American Werewolf in Paris.
The 90s, and it's something I actually really need to mention.
Wait,
actually.
no, we'll still be in March.
Oh, will we?
We'll still be in March.
The 90s was a dire time for horror.
Yeah.
From really these two films, Halloween 6, you know, you can really, because obviously I was too young at the time, I didn't realise how much of a cultural reset Scream was.
Yeah.
But the more of these films I'm watching, you know, they're light years apart. Of really dire film like Hellraiser 4 is light years removed from Scream.
Yeah.
You know, and it's shocking really, because I didn't really know at the time, and I've never really felt compelled to watch Pinhead in Space. And I won't be compelled to watch it again. But I just wanted to add that because I think An American Werewolf in Paris is very much in keeping with that. 90s was a very dry decade for a lot of horror. But then some real standouts.
An American Werewolf in Paris, I kind of feel like that was maybe post-Scream. It was 1997.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, you can tell in the film. Yeah, it's
can you really?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But also, we will also be appearing as special guests on Life's But a Song podcast discussing Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Yeah, really excited for that. I love being invited onto other people's podcasts.
Yes.
And it's a Pia Zadora film. That's all I really know so far. It's a musical, obviously. It has been on the watch list for a while. I think it's very on brand for us.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to discuss that with But a Song.
Life's a better song.
Life's a better song. I said that like butter song, like a song about butter. I do apologise. It's my pronunciation.
I'm not sure when that'll be released, but we'll keep you updated on here and the socials. And until then, we'll see you on Friday.
Bye.